good evening, wherever it is that you're joining me from. It's about 10 minutes or so, 11 minutes past 7 o'clock in my neck of the wood, and it's time to connect. All right. So I'm absolutely sorry that we're coming a few minutes behind schedule. Something popped up and we needed to deal with it. Okay. I trust everybody is doing well. It's the penultimate Sunday in the month of August 2026, and we are on the second leg of our three-part series on the Connect. From your here to your there. All right. And the courage to begin, talking about the courage to begin again and again and again. All right, I got quite a bit of feedback from the last episode, and thank you to everybody that sent me messages, especially via Facebook. Thank you so much for the DMs. Thank you for the messages that you sent. Deeply appreciated. Now, I recognize that for a lot of people, this is something that have brought them to a new consciousness, a new level of consciousness, a new level of understanding as regards. Ah, wow. So, I mean, you get it that look where you are right now is not a verdict. Wherever it is that you are, whether you are at the zenith of your career, whether you're in between this and that, in between and in betwixt, it's not a verdict. And you need to understand that some things do need to happen for you to get from your here to your there. Your there is not just a time in the future. Your there is what it is that you're called to be. Your there is the purpose, the predestinated purpose that you have. Your there is the completion, the wholesome completion of your assignments. That's where your there is. And last week we talked about the fact that, hey, you know what? There's also a challenge with where you think your there is versus where your there is supposed to be. And every time that's where you think your there is different from where your there really is, then it means that there has been a misalignment somewhere along the path. There's been a misalignment, at some point, and it's not a dead sentence, but what it just means that once you realize that there's a misalignment, there can be a reconfiguration that allows you and puts you back on track for you to be able to get on the path to your there. Life is really about the journey, the momentum, the growth from where you are to there. You're here to your there. We also said last week, if I, and I'm trying to recall, I'm speaking to the messages or the letters that I got and the areas that resonated particularly with a few people, and we talked about the fact that you know your there requires a lot, and I remember asking a few questions, and I said, look, one of the first questions that you have to ask yourself is, where are you? Everything in life is relational and positional. And for you to grow, growth is a progressive increment from where you are to a new level. But for you to be able to accurately, rightly, and appropriately measure growth, you have to be able to understand where you are. There must be a benchmark. Where are you? So the question I asked last week was, where are you? Where are you? Where exactly are you? Where exactly are you in the scheme of things? Where exactly are you? And I remember that even before I asked that question, I'd raised some other pertinent questions, and I said, "Do you really want to grow?" I talked about the fact that, do you want to grow, or do you just feel the need to grow? And I did my best to differentiate both. Number one, when you want to grow, it's an innate desire that you have, and everything within you desires growth so badly that you find your way to it. But when you just feel the need to grow, it's also not bad, but it's not purpose driven. Why? Because you feel the need to grow because, well, society dictates or demands that this is how it should be. The people around about you expect this is how it should be. Your stakeholders expect that this is how you should be, and so there's growth, but it's not for the right reason. You're growing because you want to meet um, expectations, you want to meet certain requirements, but you understand that when understanding is lacking, when something is, when understanding is lacking, then there can be a bit of a challenge in that regard. And so I also talked about the fact that you have to want to grow. You have to want to grow. You have to desire to grow. It has to be what pushes you. Because the difference is when you meet challenges along the way, and you will meet challenges along the way, there will be a few pitfalls. Life will give you some curves, and many things will happen. Some will be your fault. Some will be the faults of enablers. Some will be the faults of the circumstances around you. Some will be the faults of the situations around you. But when you want to grow, and there's a difference, there's about, oh, you know what, I'm just here, you know what, I just have a job, you know what, everybody just expects that I get a promotion after 2 years, or everybody just expects that by now I should be married, or everybody just expects that by now I should have done this. There's a bit, you seem to be doing the right thing, but you're doing the right thing hinged on, if you ask me, fundamentally the wrong reason. You need to know why you want to grow. All right. So we talked about that last week. And so we're just going to take up the conversation from here. So for those on Facebook, I'm checking, and for those on YouTube as well, please share the link. Get your friends, get everybody to be a part of this. I'm going to share the link right now, and then so just give me a second to share the link, and then I will be with you. All right. Just give me a few seconds. I'm going to share the link right now on various platforms, and then we will jump into today's session. All right. Okay. One more. Get this on the starters. All right. Okay. So we're good. So we're tapering into today's conversation, which is just a flow from the conversation last week. Um, and we had a conversation about the courage to begin again and again. One of the things I mentioned last week that I want to reiterate this week is that where you are is not a final verdict. It's not your final destination. It's not a verdict on your life story. It's not a verdict on who you are. It's not a verdict on what you're capable of. But for you to be able to get to your there, you require courage. You require courage. Again, I want to stress that look, it's almost impossible for you to be able to move forward without honestly confronting where you are. Your here is very important. It may not be desirable to you, but it's absolutely important for many reasons, not necessarily your fault. Like I said earlier, you're there for a reason, and it's not about finding nice words to couch round about it. It's not about outsourcing responsibility. You have to be responsible enough to recognize um, and understand why you're where you are. Because look, it's mind blowing that the moment you're able to understand the power of your here, you unlock the possibilities of your there. I'll say that again. The moment you're able to understand the powers of your here, you will unlock the possibilities of your there. And that's very important. So you begin to ask yourself questions. And I always say that questions are absolutely important to your life's journey, to any initiative, any endeavor that you are. Questions are absolutely, absolutely, absolutely important. Absolutely important. So what kind of questions would you ask? Number one, where you are right now, you're here. What has it taught you? What have you learned from where you are right now? What have you learned right? What have you learned wrong? What have you learned from where you are right now? What's working? What's no longer working? What do you have to adjust? Understanding that, look, you see, let me tell you something. I tell people all the time that if you don't realize the consequences of an inaction or of an action, there's absolutely no incentive for you to change it, do better by it, refine it, innovate it, or do anything. If you don't understand, hear me, if you don't understand that there's cause and effect, if you don't understand that what you're doing is either promoting you or demoting you, then you have absolutely no incentive to do anything about it. In other words, you will continue as you are. In very extreme cases, you have to stop pretending about your here. And you also have to ask yourself, what have you outgrown? So you did this 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. It seemed to work, but you're at a stage where you're growing, your thoughts are wider, and you still want to run with the same methodology. It doesn't work. You you have no issues, treating people the way you treat them, talking to people the way you talk to them, and you've come to a new stage in life and you think that old way is still going to work. No, it's not going to work. What it does is it keeps you stuck there. And I've always said this in the Connect. There's no static position in life. You're either progressing or you're regressing. Because again, life is relational. So you may think you're still in the same spot, but as long as life around you is moving, you are not, in the actual sense of it, in the practical sense of it, you are not on the same spot. So your here is a location, not a verdict. It's a location. So once now you've thought about that as regards your hair, you've sought to draw the lessons out of it. The second thing you now need to understand is, look, so where am I going to? Where am I going to? Where am I going to? Your there is a function of your vision. And let me say this again. On your journey forward, and I know a lot of people will struggle to get this, but hear me. On your journey forward, the first thing you need on your journey forward to your there is not your experience, it's your imagination. I'll say it again. The first thing that you need on your journey to your there is not your experience, it's your imagination. Your imagination, which is captured in your vision, gives you a destination. It gives you an idea of what you now need to go and take out of your experience and what you have to jettison from your experience. Only after you have had imagination can you know what is required to be able to confront the future, to build the future, to grow the future, and to advance the future. Did you get that? So, the first thing that you need in going forward is not your experience, it's your imagination, your visioning. Because vision gives you a destination. And then you now require the courage to go back into your experience and rightly divide it. A lot of people want to come into the future where, I have 10 years experience, 20 years experience. I've done this. We've been here for 2 years. We've been around this money for this. It's not everything on your journey that is designed to serve you for your future. It's not everything on the journey that you have been that is designed to serve you for the journey that you are going to. So you need to learn to go in, now have the courage. And it requires courage. It requires courage, first of all, to be true to thyself. It requires courage to take responsibility. It requires courage to be able to lock your gaze and your focus on that future, to be able to determine, right? To be able to determine what is your experience, what you can take out of your experience, and what you need to throw away in your experience. It requires courage. So vision gives you movement. Vision gives you destination. Courage gives you movement. Gives you movement. So now I want to quickly talk about, because of the time that we have, we said 10 minutes behind time. I want to quickly talk about what are the things that then keep you from arriving. Why haven't you arrived? Why haven't you arrived? And before I go to that, I remember, I think last week I mentioned it, that if you look to the Bible, right, I'm a person of faith and very strong faith in that. If you look to the Bible, Proverbs 29, verse 18, I was reading it a little while back. It speaks to the importance of visioning, and that speaks to your imagination. Philippians chapter 3, I think somewhere around verse 14, or yeah, I think 13 to 14 or 12 to 14. Somebody please check it out. Speaks about the importance of not being trapped in your past. The importance of not being trapped in your past. The importance of not being trapped by your, not being tied down by your experience, which buttresses the point that I made that the first thing that you need to get to your there is not your experience, it's your imagination. It's imagination. Why haven't you arrived at you're there? A number of things. A number of things. A number of things. And these things are germane. They are true. In many regards, they are valid. I'm not one of those that will tell you that they're not valid. But there's something stronger than them that cancels them or mitigates them or minimizes them. Number one, between your here and there, you have fear. You will experience fear. Absolutely important. You experience doubts. Absolutely important. You question yourself, you question people, you question your stakeholders, you question your idea, you can even question your vision. You will question. All right. And we'll talk about all of this. I'll give you my thoughts on all of it. You have disappointments. People will disappoint you. People will disappoint you. Things will disappoint you. Systems will fail you. Circumstances will give out disappointing outcomes. In other words, there will be disappointment. But is that enough to keep you from getting to your there? Let me answer that ahead of my time. No, it's not enough. You will experience delay. My goodness, I can tell you about that. You will experience delay. And remember, it's not a verdict. Some people with peripheral understanding, some people that are not deep, some people that don't like you, some people that don't understand you, they may cast it as a verdict, they may write it as a verdict, but you have to be careful. So you experience delay. Delay will happen. You experience loss. You experience loss. And loss can be devastating. One of the things about loss is that it alters the dynamics, it changes a lot of things. And if you are slow to adapt to the changes, whether it was your fault or not, because what happens many times is that there are changes and we are blaming the situation and the changes rather than adapting to it quickly. And that lends credence to the fact that we spend a lot of time, and you see, this is always the issue. You spend a lot of time pointing fingers and trying to push the responsibility of the blame to someone when you don't understand that you're supposed to take on the responsibility of providing a solution. So when things happen, and I learned this, when things happen, situations happen, there's a mishap, there's a fight, you're quick. See, it doesn't matter. You see, the same people that you're trying to help will call you this, will call you names, will call you immature, will call you all sorts of things, will label you. It doesn't matter. It just points to the fact that they are not taking responsibility for the solution. What they're doing is looking for how to push responsibility for the blame. One thing that you have to learn to do to be able to go from your here responsibility, if the fault was not yours. That's the differentiator. So it doesn't matter. The very person that will label you, it doesn't matter. That's just the level of their understanding. That's where they are. Their limitations are not necessarily your urgency. Seek solution together. Yeah, and I need somebody to hear this. This is very important. See, The fact that you're experiencing a gap or there's a gap between your here and there is not evidence that you're failing. Listen to me, because words are very powerful, and even some of the closest people to you will use words that they will hurt you, but forgive them. If they knew better, they will do better. The evidence that there's a gap is not that you're failing. The evidence that there's a gap is actually that there's a place where you're being shaped, where you're being formed, where you're being nurtured, and where you're being pruned. Because it's the same gardener that nurtures. That's the same gardener that prunes. It's just that we love the nurturing part. We love being nurtured. We love being pampered. We love being watered. But we have a hard time taking accountability for the pruning. Oh, it becomes a problem. Oh, it's harassment. Oh, it's this. It's that. Oh, there's a challenge. Oh, no, 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 no. Relax. The same place, because there's the law of polarity. There are two things can exist as a whole in a whole. The same place where you're being nurtured, the same place where you're being watered, is the same place where you will be pruned. And if you reject one, you are not wise. AU said it. If you reject pruning, then your nurturing will be of non effect. So please understand that there are moments when you don't need a new destination. There are moments when you don't need a new story. There are moments when you don't need a new project. There are moments when you don't need a new idea. There are moments when you don't need a new relationship. What you need is the courage to begin again. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have the courage to do it again. Oh no, why are we going over it again? You didn't get it right. That's why you're going over it again. Oh yeah, yeah, we're gonna get something new. Oh, it feels new for a second. Guess what? Lessons not learned will reflect in mistakes repeated. Lessons learned will reflect in mistakes avoided. So you need the courage to start again. Start the business again. Try the idea again. Rebuild that relationship again. Apply again. I don't know what I'm talking to, but apply for that job, apply for that interview, apply for that visa, apply for that scholarship, apply for that grant. Lead again. Follow again. Dream again. Believe again. Now, this is not because the first attempt didn't matter, but because failure is not always the end of the story. So the first attempt was also part of the story. See, I guarantee you something. If you're able to get these things that I'm telling you, your life will change. The Bible says in the book of Lamentations, right? Chapter 3, 22 to 23, it says that his mercies are new every day. And many times when I pray, I bless God, I thank God for his new mercies. The Bible also says that he loads every day. He loads every day with his benefits. Is it that you didn't get mercies yesterday? Is it that you didn't get benefits yesterday? But there's something about the power of a new beginning. So every day, every morning, every moment carries an invitation to begin again. But it's not just there. It's not just there. And I want you to understand this. It's not just the beginning again. Because, my goodness, listen, I think the bigger challenge people have is when they have to begin again and again. This is where this conversation becomes really, really very thought provoking, because The real issue isn't having the courage to begin once. You could have a moment of courage. You could just have circumstances aligning for you at that particular moment. You could have so many things. I mean, you could just have that initial burst. You could run on some bites of motivation or inspiration. But the deeper question I want to ask you is, can you keep beginning again? Can you begin again after another disappointment? Can you begin again after yet another seemingly failure? Can you begin again after rejection? Can you begin again after losing momentum? Can you jump back to life after losing it a couple of times? Can you begin again when another attempt that you had at beginning again isn't going quite right? Because this is what is called resilience. A lot of people mount it, a lot of people don't have it. And so you're resigned. Whichever way it goes, it goes. However it happens, it happens. The truth of the matter is that it will never happen with you like that because you're undeserving of it. That is the truth. You're not deserving of it. Now you've given up on it now. Why you want the best out of something that you have given up on? You want the best out of something that you're not making effort towards. It's only a criminal that does that. Are you a criminal? Are you a criminal? You have to be able to begin again after discovering that the first plan didn't work or wasn't the right plan. You have to be able to begin again after everyone else has moved on. See, the distance between your here and there isn't measured in kilometers. It's not measured in the number of years. It's not measured in the number of days. It's not measured in the number of weeks. It's not measured in the number of months. The difference between your here and there is measured in courage. It's measured in courage. You don't have to have everything figured out to begin again. You just have to be courageous enough to take the next step. So what is the again of your life asking of you? I say, as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, and though I may be sharing things, I mean, I've had the advantage of thinking this through before sharing with you. The truth of the matter is that this is for all of us. It's for each and every one of us. What the again in your life? What is it? What is it asking of you? What is it asking of you? It's not everything that needs to change. It's not everything that needs to be done away. It's not everything that requires a absolutely detached new thing. Maybe you simply need to begin again. That's why imagination, right, is the first thing that you need. So I look into the future. How do I want the next 10 years to be? How do I want my relationship to be? How do I want my income to be? How do I want this? How do I want that? How do I want this project to be? How do I want this project to end and all of that? And once I have the imagination of that, what then happens is, like I said, you now, because when you're beginning again, now you're beginning with what you know. What do you know? Your experience. Now you're armed with experience, but because you have the courage to begin again, you're showing up. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. But it's not the first thing that you require to begin again, but is what you will use along your journey of beginning again. So the courage to begin again means that number one, you have to be able to look at yourself and remind yourself that you are deserving of that future that you always desired. Tell yourself that you don't have to settle for the reports of the seemingly failure, seemingly stagnation, seemingly delay, seemingly mishap, seemingly misalignment. You don't have to settle for that. You don't have to settle for what didn't go right, and make it a verdict. Many times we truncate the possibilities of everything that we can be. I've always said it, never let the darkness of today, no matter what the situation is, blot out the lights of tomorrow. Because if you do, and you do not see the light of tomorrow, there's nothing within you that is ignited to be able to pursue tomorrow. And if there's nothing with you that is ignited, then there's no drive. You have no desire. You are resigned to whatever fate it is that you have of yourself. You've literally given up, even if you're going through the motions, but mentally in your heart, you've given up whatever your head and your hands do. It's just mechanics. You're just turning the wheel. Nothing is happening. You're just in a treadmill. You're not going anywhere. You're not moving. You're not going anywhere. So you have to tell yourself, number one, that you deserve that future. Number two, you're brutally honest with yourself. Like I said, it's not the time. It's not the time for you to make excuses for your ineptitude, to make excuses for your disrespect, make excuses for your shortcomings, make excuses for relationships that you didn't quite handle right, make excuses for the things that, especially the things that I say many times that when you find people that have issues by a thing, it could be not all the time, but it's pointed to the things within themselves that they are unable to fix and irritates them seeing another person. The best way to move forward is to x-ray yourself. Now you're doing it not as a fresh starter, you're doing it with experience. And you're saying to yourself, how can I handle the things that I went through better? Now, these are not just words that sound nice. This is very practical. This is what clears the way, allows your because sometimes the things that people around you say, the things that the situations around you say, the reports of the seemingly failure, what they say to you is, even if you try again, they make it feel so odd, so queer, that you're so out of time. Oh, this is not what you should be doing now. Oh my goodness, you better just disappear. They minimize you, but you've got look and see, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter who, even if it is the closest person to you, they're only speaking from their level of understanding. Yes, you also have a responsibility to help raise the bar for them. But at that moment, please understand that your vision is more important than their peripheral understanding. Hard not to swallow, but that's what you need. So you have to be very brutal with yourself. And then by the time we're getting into next week, we're going to be looking about the very practical things that you do to build the methodology and build the systems that will take you, convey you to your there. So, what are the highlights of things we've taken today? Understand that where you are is not a final verdict. Understand that there are many things that will come against you that will prevent you from getting there. Fear of whatever, inconsistency, your lack of self belief or mitigated belief, pain, rejection, trauma, and a lot of things that just keep you down. You have to be able to also understand that we talked about the fact that the first thing, and I've said this over again because I want you to think about it, I want it to sink in. The first thing that you need to do, that you have to do, the first thing that you have to do is be able to, right? Is be able to have imagination. Never let the darkness of today blot out the light of tomorrow. Never let it happen. You must have imagination. You must see. You must see. The person that cannot see does not need direction, it needs revelation. Your visioning must be something that you don't toy with. It must be non negotiable. It must be a point of anchorage. It must be sacrosanct. And it must be something that you hold on to, being fully persuaded about it. Because it's what will bail you out of whatever situations that you. Things will happen. Life will throw curveballs at us. We will fail. We will fall. Things will throw us back. But no matter what happens, I want you to please, with everything inside of you and the systems around you, have the courage to begin again. And if you need to, again. And if you need to, add again, if you need to. Have that courage. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you are trying too much. Don't ever let anybody tell you that this, the way that things have seemingly not getting better means that it can never get better. Don't. Every time I hear that, I literally forgive them in my heart in advance. Don't let somebody's short-sightedness affect the possibility of your long-term intention. Don't. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't let people that I mean, I'm looking for a very nice way to say it. But bottom line is, you get what I mean. Don't let people who can't see what you are saying talk you out of what you're saying. And even if they try to, don't talk yourself out. Don't talk yourself out of, all right? Don't talk yourself out of what you have seen, because that in itself is a problem. When you talk yourself out of what you've seen, it takes courage. If you've ever lost something, if you've ever been set back, if you've ever had a disagreement or a misalignment, if you ever look like things were not working, and then you just feel like, what's the point? Why should I go on? Why should I try? Why should I give it another attempt? Why should I push? Why should I do this or do that? Find the courage. The courage will come from the clarity of your vision. The vision will give you the energy for the mission. The mission is the methodology of attaining your vision. Find the courage. You will need it, because that's how you get from your here to your there. Next Sunday, which is the ultimate Sunday, the final Sunday in the month of August, we're going to be looking at the methodologies, the systems that you require to build, the support that you will need to be able to get from your here to your there. I promise you, it's going to be one practical session. I hope that you have been absolutely blessed by this session as I have, and you've taken away points. Please do share the things that resonate with you with me, either in the comment section or on any of my social media platform. And I will definitely respond to you between now and next Sunday. All right. So my prayer, as always, is that you have a great and profitable and very productive week, and keep connecting. Connect with everything that you need to connect with your stakeholders, with your resources, with your opportunities, with your learning, with your strengthening, and with your edification. Connect. All right. So have a good time, everybody. It's 10 minutes to 8. All right. And I will be seeing you next Sunday by the grace of God. Have a good night, everyone. And have a good and blessed week as well. Cheers, everybody.